Today we're going to be taking a look at my passive income earnings for the month of February of 2023. Similar to what I've been doing over the past few months, today I'm going to be covering what I earned in passive income, and this is going to be across nodes, things like that. Not necessarily mining, just other things in general that I'm running that are completely passive. You set it up, and you pretty much forget it as long as you have it running on stable hardware. So this month we're going to start off talking about Helium. And for Helium we earned 0.291 HNT, which was only 78 cents for the full month. And the big reason for this is with Syncrobit going bankrupt, the miner actually quit working, and then I ended up ordering the CM4 adapter from Nebra, rather, and that did come in March. I got it all set back up. Everything's back up and running now. So those March earnings should look significantly better than it did in February. Next up is Honeygain. And Honeygain earnings went down significantly for the month of February. Now, being February, we are, a couple days shorter than the other months. But typically in the past I was averaging $9 a day, but that dropped down to $4.44 a day, which was 2.07 jump tokens. Moving on, Mysterium node, I'm running one Mysterium node, and we got 11.67 Mysterium, which was $3.04. And with Mysterium, it was a little bit more tricky. I was moving some servers around, spinning up a new NAS, and for that, I ended up moving Mysterium across servers a couple times, so these earnings should pick up, at least on the Mysterium side, in March. For Storj, once again, I moved my Storj node from the system it was running on over to a new Synology NAS. And so with that, we migrated our identity and everything, because this specific identity has already been over 12 months, and so there's no held back collateral anymore. So it's full payment. We have 4 terabytes. I recently bumped that up to 5 terabytes of available capacity just for storage, and we earned 26.79 Storj, which was $11.85. As is the case every month, I take all these prices the last day of the month. Next up, I actually built a new server. I'm trying to build some rack mount GPU servers, and one of the nice things with those is they're 4U chassis. I can fit a handful of A2000s in them, and I can fit a whole lot of hard drives. And so the units I have, the first one I built was 44 terabytes of storage, and this didn't earn anything because I spun it up the very last week of the month. It's a brand new identity, so it'll be around 50% revenue for the first few months. Moving on to ZeroCoin. So the ZeroCoin Masternode earned just under 6,000 ZOC for the month, which is $1.83, and that was 2 Masternodes. I'm actually going to be upgrading to 4 Masternodes for the month of March, and that's going to kind of be a pattern that you're going to see here. I recently came across Kintaba's latest offering that they have, which is essentially for $8.50 a month, you can get a VPS that is 4 virtual core, 8 gigs of RAM, 200 gig SSD for $8.50 a month. It's a spectacular deal. And so I went through an exercise in February of trying out the Oracle free tiers, the AWS free tier, and the Google Cloud free tier. And those all worked relatively well, and we'll talk about that when we get down to Presearch. However, they're quite limiting in what you get, and it just isn't worth it when I go to expand. So I decided we're going to leave 2 of those free tiers up on Oracle for Presearch, but the rest I'm going to move over to Kintabo. So with ZeroCoin, we're going to be upgrading that to 4, potentially 5. Omega, we earned just under 700 Omega, which is around 89 cents. Again, that was for 2 masternodes. Nicks, we earned 170 nicks, which was only 6 cents. But that was, again, 1 masternode, and it was only 50% uptime. We were running some issues with this, and again, this is because of the hardware on the free tier. So we're going to be upgrading those, and we shouldn't run into that anymore with the Kantaba structure. Z-Core, unfortunately, and I covered this in another video, Z-Core is going through a chain change, and with that, I made the conscious decision, shut down the masternodes, sell all my coins. I actually traded them into a couple other coins, and they're going to be going through a bunch of changes over the next couple months with migrating. They're kind of migrating to a wrap token as an interim, and then they're spinning up a new chain, and then they're basically doing a one-to-one drop for those coins on the new network. I didn't want to risk anything kind of happening there. I decided let's just go ahead and sell, and if everything goes smoothly and they still offer masternodes on the new chain, at that time I will spin up some more masternodes. The Alt-C masternode, I had it up briefly. It didn't do very well. I went ahead and shut it down. Right now it's just kind of staking. I don't have an easy way to determine the earnings, so I'm going to work on that for March. Same thing with the EDEL masternode. I got one of these up and running, and so for March, both of these should have a lot better numbers than what I have available right now. I'm going to have to write some custom API stuff. Unfortunately, these wallets don't give you an easy way to see all the transaction totals based on a date time period. Next up, everybody's favorite coin, Pigeon. I was running 2 masternodes. I'm going to be upgrading that to 4, potentially more, for the month of March. And once again, these prices were taken at the end of February. These prices are probably wildly different today. Pigeon recently had like a 250% spike, and that's mainly because CoinEx delisted them. Price tanked a bunch. Effective today, at the time of the recording of this, March 9th, they were fully delisted from CoinEx. They are still on safe trade, and so essentially what happened was everybody that could sell on CoinEx sold off, caused that drop, that big dip, and now people are buying or transferring over to safe trade, and price has recovered on that now. So we're sitting pretty stable where we're at, but I earned 26,777 Pigeon, which was around 57 cents on 2 masternodes. And then Presearch. What I ended up doing is I shut down my Flux node at the end of February, and I took all of that and converted it into Pre token so that I could spin up 4 more Pre nodes using that 1,000 Flux. It cost a little bit more. It was probably closer to like 1,200, 1,300 Flux at that time. But I was effectively able to spin up that many more nodes on Presearch. And the reason for that, you're going to see here, when we look at Presearch, I earned $9.60 just running 1 node for that month. Whereas with Flux, I was only earning $6.94, which was 8.4 Flux to the 156.8. And the biggest issue I was seeing with Flux over the past several months is anytime they pushed out an update or something went wrong with the network, it was always kicking me out of line even though my node never went down. There were a couple months I didn't get any payouts at all, even though my node was fully up that month. And so there's plenty of nodes on the network. They don't need additional service nodes at this point running. They have plenty of capacity. They really don't have that much usage happening right now. So I felt perfectly fine shutting down that node, converting it to Pre, and running. I'm now running 5 Pre nodes, and we'll get into this next month with March, but I'm getting over $1 a day in Pre rewards. So I was definitely happy with the way that turned out. So that brings our total for the month to $41.31 is what we earned in passive income for the month of February. Again, this is a shortened month. March should be sufficiently better, mainly because we're going to be spinning up more nodes, including we now have those 4 additional pre-nodes spun up, and we're working on spinning up between 4 and 5 of all these master nodes.